Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey, everybody, Cantonese Cat here. China video. Somebody requested it. Let's look at it. What happened? Very bullish September. Hit rejection at the Ichimoku Cloud here on the monthly in October. And what's going to happen after that, right? Another thing also got hit at the resistance at was the upper Bollinger Band is simply want to turn bullish, but it wasn't that bullish yet. You are still being confined by the monthly Bollinger Band, and as a result, you got a huge rejection here. So where's price going to gravitating to? Where are you going to find support? Well, here's the thing. I don't think anybody really knows. And if you're really looking in terms of where things could potentially find support at, right now you're still in space. Like you got this level over here around 20,000 or so that could end up holding. And the next level underneath is could be potentially around like 19,500. These levels are potentially able to hold, but you're talking about 20-week moving average being way down here in 1800s. You're talking about the Ichimoku Cloud way underneath here around 1700s. You are getting the Tencent and Kijun kind of rising up, potentially serving as support, but the Tencent, there's no guarantee it's going to hold. It could potentially come back down here a little bit lower, even wick down below to test the 19,500 range. All those things are entirely, possible. The way to kind of look into this, I guess if you want to do a short-term GAN, I can do that here real quick. From the bottom here, I'm going to make this about 180. I'm going to do 180 here, and I'm going to change this into 100. The reason why it's holding this level right now is because it's also got a little bit of a horizontal support zone over here, right? I think it's pretty strong. Can it go down below and test this level over here? Possible. But it doesn't really have any further, GAN support here. All you got is really that Ichimoku, Tencent, and Kijun right there as support. If I change that, slightly, let's say if I get to 10, let's see if I do 50, does it give me a little bit of a different picture? It does. I think it could potentially come back down here around the 1900, 500 range, right? Which is going to be a confluent zone around all of these angle horizontal line and the arc down here. So it's entirely possible for price to break through the support level and come back down and maybe another like 800 points, come down to this area, tap it, and then trying to break through, use the angle as support to push price up a lot higher, right? That's kind of what I'm seeing. I'm not sure this correction is done yet, and it could take a lot longer than some people would think, even though there's news out there saying China's injecting liquidity into the system, China's injecting liquidity into the system, great. Well, things still take time to play out. Stock market doesn't always have to follow where liquidity is one-to-one in a time manner. It does tend out usually within like a few month time frame. The market generally follows liquidity, but it doesn't have to do that in the short term. Right? So that's something to kind of keep in mind. Now let's talk about some of the favorite Chinese stocks that y'all love to talk about. Now Baba is a little bit, problematic, if you will. It got rejected here at the 0.236. It also broke back down here underneath the horizontal line over here for the GAN. It could come back down to the mid to low 90s. I think it's entirely possible for it to come down to the 0.136 level to back test that level. Entirely possible. Because it got rejected at a FIB level, it could gravitate towards the FIB level underneath that we've kind of broke through here and serve as a little bit of back test before going further. Does it have to? Of course not. Like none of these are guarantees. You are having some rising supports that are coming up with the weekly tank and maybe a little bit more around $100. So there's also a possibility it just goes down to 100 and it just bounces and that's it, right? But I have a hard time believing that it's just gonna bounce from here, especially when the candle this week doesn't have any wick underneath. So I have a hard time believing it's just going to reverse and just going to keep going up from here on out. But even if it is the case, on a higher time frame, I just want to make sure that I let you guys know on a higher time frame over the next 6 to 12 months, especially in the 12-month period, I think Baba is going to go higher because it's just forming higher highs, and right now it's trying to form a higher low. I don't care if it goes all the way down to like 90. I don't care if it goes all the way down to the weekly Ichimoku Cloud around 85. It's still going to be a higher low, and it's probably going to keep going a lot higher. That's what I'm kind of seeing here overall on the monthly time frame. You can clearly see the rejection over here at the GAN horizontal zone. If I turn the GAN off and if I just do the Bollinger Band, you can see that it's very similar to the Hang Seng Index, where it got rejected off the upper Bollinger Band. The upper Bollinger Band and lower Bollinger Band is just starting to expand. This is going to keep on expanding, allowing price to go up higher, but not yet. So right now you have a little bit of the tweezer top over here. These are generally a little bit more like short-term bearish. I can totally see it coming back down, back to some of the stuff that I was talking about. Mid-90s, $90, maybe even a little bit lower. I don't think it has to go down that far. I don't think it has to go all the way back down to like the low 80s to backtest to 20. But hey, it's possible. Even if it does that, it's bullish on the higher time frame, right? Even if it does that, which is kind of insane for some people to think about. But before it gets down to like the mid to low 80s, you have more support again around like the mid 90s to $90. So we'll see when it comes back down and back test it, tap it before challenging this really thick Ichimoku cloud up here. I do think that it's going to push into the cloud somewhere around 2025, and I do think that when it does that, it's going to be pretty relatively bullish. I already have the fib level here. It's the interesting the cloud over here is exactly the 0.5 fib level, right? So I think this is probably going to go up, felt around, and then probably hit maybe the confluence of this angle and the arc here and the horizontal line over here on top of the Ichimoku cloud, or maybe it hits over here around late 2025. I think it's entirely possible based on what I'm seeing. You just had a bullish cross over here, so give it benefit of the doubt, right? But yeah, maybe some short-term pain, long-term gain. Baidu, let's take a look at it. What is it doing? Very similar things. It's not as bullish as Baba, but it's basically still getting rejected here at a negative 20. So if I enter, I'm probably going to be a lot more bullish on Baba than I do with Baidu, right? JD also got a really bullish look here. It is flipping the 20 from resistance to support, and it's also hitting the GAN angle as resistance and top the Bollinger Band here as resistance. So, but it's got a pretty healthy look to it. So if I had to choose between Baidu, Baba, and JD, I have a hard time choosing between Baba and JD, but I probably wouldn't choose things like Baidu, right? You also have Tencent. Tencent also has a pretty bullish look to it. It also even already broke about this Adam and Eve pattern over here. It actually looks a little bit more bullish out of all of them that I've showed you so far. Regardless, I do think that they're going to keep running after a correction, which can happen anywhere from 1 to 3 months. You just had a monster move up here. It could be even longer, right? But I do think that this is flipping bullish here on the long run over the next 12 months. So yeah, think about it. PDD, Pinduoduo, also looking pretty decent. Is hitting some resistance up here, but it's already been bullish for a very long time. It's just doing its correction before bouncing up further. You just had a bullish engulfing candle here last month, and you're hitting the resistance zone over here at the top of this volume shelf. So we just got to break through, building up a lot of energy, maybe even set up a little bit of a head and shoulder pattern or inverted head and shoulder pattern before pushing up higher. That's kind of what I'm seeing here with Pinduoduo. Futu is a stock that's been garnering more attention and more attention. What is Futu doing? Well, Futu has basically just gotten rejected off of this arc here. This is done on a weekly, so I should probably show the weekly here. It's a very bullish chart. It's been forming higher highs and higher lows. It just formed a very higher high. It's trying to find a higher low somewhere. Where could the higher low be? Well, it could potentially be at the horizontal level over here around $80 where it broke out of. But before you get to 80, you do have a level here that's very important, which is $91 around the 0.382, because it got rejected close to the arc and got rejected close to 0.618. It's reasonable for it to kind of come down to fib levels down below to 0.382 and maybe find support there around $91. That's probably where I'm favoring that it's going to end up bottoming before further bullish continuation, and it can kind of get stuck underneath between the 0.382. It can even wick down below a little bit further, but I think it's probably going to end up getting stuck here between the arc and 0.382 before further bullish continuation. If it does go down below, then you're talking about $80. All right, that's going to be your risk levels, but you're also looking at some pretty high reward levels up here. If it's breaking about the arc over here, and it breaks about the 0.786, then you're talking about the arc up higher, which you can potentially 3x your money this cycle from here. if it ends up, finding support down here, but it could be a pretty painful short-term process over the next few weeks to the next couple of months, right? That's kind of what I'm seeing. Again, none of these things are deterministic. I'm just kind of showing you what I think. The Bollinger Band here, I just cannot believe it, is expanding. The crocodile is opening its mouth. The upper Bollinger Band, lower Bollinger Band expanding away from one another. 20-moving average is accelerating to the upside. The only problem with Futu, way outside the upper Bollinger Band here on the monthly, so it could potentially correct down to like $90, right? Which, again, would be confluent to around the 0.382. It may not do it this month, but I think next month it might have to gravitate back towards 0.382. It looks like it wants to go higher, it just doesn't have the technical means to do so. That's what Futu looks like to me. Nio, what do I think about Nio stock? Well, let's just take a look at this 20-month moving average. So far is getting rejected here. I like the fact that it's flipping from the negative sloping 20-month moving average to a little bit more flat now, but it's still underneath resistance. If we're not able to pass for resistance like we did with JD just passed for it like it's butter. If we're not able to do that, Nio is still a little bit iffy, right? You can end up making another leg down. That's entirely possible. And you're also talking about, you're hitting this bear market trend line here and also still getting rejected here. We're not getting a breakthrough yet, right? So something to kind of keep in mind here. There might be a little bit more pain before more gains, right? And there's also no guarantee that this is going to hold. It might end up making another leg down. But if it makes another leg down, if it's able to find support zone down here around the arc, around the angle, and around the horizontal line over here, Nio might be a little bit more attractive when it gets down here if it's able to find a confluence of support down here. But there is no confirmation yet. That's a problem. And it's just simply like, it's still a falling knife. I can't guarantee it's not going to make another higher low, right? Because I really want to see it holding support or flipping a 20-month moving average from resistance to support before I start getting really bullish on it. Finally, XPeng, XPEV is really flipping, maybe potentially looks a little bit more bullish than Nio. So if I have to choose between, if I absolutely had to buy a Chinese EV stock, I'll probably get into XPeng, to be completely honest, because it's at least trying to flip the 20-month moving average from resistance here to support, and it's becoming a lot more flat. Whereas the Nio one is still clear resistant, is still negative sloping, right? So if I had to buy between one of these, if I absolutely have to choose, I would choose XPeng or XPEV. Anyway, just a quick video on China update. Take care, bye.